This forum is brought to you by Frost, headed by Glenda Olid. And our guest for today is the Chairman of Committee on Local Government, and he is the Senior Deputy Majority Leader. Let us all welcome Senator J.V. Ejercito. Hi, sir. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Magandang umaga sa iyo. Nice to be back in Tapihan. Marami tayong issues na ito discuss ngayon. Maraming ganap ngayon. So,
Sir, unahin ko, finally yung House, inapprove na nila yung daily minimum wage bill. Kaya lang malaki yung difference between yung version ng Senate at House. Sa Senate, 100 peso. Sa House, 200 peso. So, napag-usapan na ba ng Senate paano i-address yung magkaibang version, kung through BICAM or may plano ang Senate na i-adapt na lang yung House version?
Well, the Senate passed yung 100 peso wage hike last year yata, no?
Yeah,
Nauna po ang Senado. And then yung sa House, kahapon lang ho natin nakuha yung balita yesterday afternoon. So, hindi pa namin napag-usapan on how to go about it. Pero malaki difference. So, 100 pesos and 200 pesos. So, siguro before we adjourn, siguro kung abot kung kailangan mag-BICAM, sabi naman kung ano yung may personal position, if whatever we can give to the laborers, bigay natin, no? Kasi yung inflation natin, sobrang taas na rin ng bilihin ngayon. So kung yung 100 pesos makakatulong na yun, bakit hindi natin ibigay? Kung 200, kung kaya, bakit hindi, no? Siyempre, kung kaya nga but we have to strike a balance always. We have to make sure also that yung business will be able to survive, na hindi naman mamatay yung negosyo, no? Baka kasi masyado mabigat sa iba yan, especially for the small and medium scale businesses. So, may kasabihan nga, we do not kill the goose that lays the golden egg. Kumbaga, ibibigay natin yung maganda, politically, pero baka naman tinapatay natin yung negosyo. So, ang gusto ko makita dyan, data, statistics, information from, kailangan natin i-balance both from the employees sa business sector and also sa economic managers kung ano yung kakayanin. Sa akin, kung ano yung sagad na pwede ibigay natin sa mga manggagawa, ibigay natin. Especially with the rising prices of commodities, no? Yung 100 pesos, ano na lang ba mabibili mo niyan? Pero kahit paano, sa pang-araw-araw, makatulong at makadagdag yan. Kung 200 pesos, well and good, mas maganda kung may bibigay natin. But also, we have to look into the survival and sustainability. Yung basta kakayanin po ng business sector, kung hanggang saan yung kaya nila, yun ang gusto kong siguro personally, kung hanggang saan yung kaya nilang ibigay, siguro yun ang dapat nating balansehin. So, kung ano po sa akin, kung kayang ibigay para sa magagawa, ibigay natin.
So sa tingin ninyo, may nakausap ba kayo sa business sector kung alin sa kanila yung mas acceptable, yung 100 o yung 200? O alin ba? Meet sa gitna, 150?
Well, sa akin wala pa dahil kahapon lang lumabas yung sa House version, no? And marami akong, syempre mga feedback na nakikita natin, yung natatakot yung mga small and medium scale, baka hindi raw nila kayanin. But yun yung gusto natin makuha, no? I know we do not have time, we only have 3 session days to go. Pero kung sakali, kung magkakaroon ba ng BICAM, magpatawag ang leadership, I want to get the information from the economic managers, of course, yung employers, kung hanggang saan yung kaya nila ibigay. Pero hanggat kayang isagad natin yung kaya ibigay. Kung if it's 100, if 150, kung 200, bakit hindi natin ibigay?
Pero sir, kagabi, hindi pa ito napag-usapan kung ano yung magiging stand ng Senate, kung mas gustong mag-BICAM o i-adapt yung... Well,
napag-usapan din yun because we are pressed for time, no? Dahil marami pa tayong mga priority measures that are up for approval na hinahabol natin. Well, sabi nila, ba't di na natin adapt yung sa kanila para matapos
200.
But siguro, we have a few days to consult kung sino pwede natin makonsulta. Right now, wala pa namang stand of position ng leadership, no? Wala pa namang nasabi, pero kasi kahapon lang ng hapon to no? Na lumabas yung nabasa ko lang sa social media rin, yung sa news, yung pagpasa ng 200 pesos sa wage hike sa House.
Pero personally, sa tingin nyo, mayroon ng pangangailangan kaya dapat may maipasang batas, may madala sa Malacanang nalalagdaan ng Pangulo, sir?
With the rising prices, with the inflation at present, sa tingin ko, kinakailangan na talaga magkaroon ng wage hike. Be it 100, 150, 200, ano po yung kayang ibigay na po natin. Because sabi ko nga ngayon yung 100 pesos, di ba, ano ba mararating yan, di ba? Pero kung maidadagdag man lang natin sa pang-araw-araw, palagi ko, malaking bagay din po yun.
So yung amendment sa UHC law, anong status ba nun? May BICAM?
Supposedly schedule tayo Monday, no? Ng BICAM. Kaya lang maraming concerns kasi yung mga Philippine Medical Association, yung mga iba't ibang association ng mga medical practitioners. Kasi po yung House version, marami silang mga provisions, no, na idinagdag, no? Pero sa Senate version, basically it's just adjusting the premium contributions, no? Kasi nga po, ang rationale doon, ako po ang principal author nito, because when we were drafting the Universal Healthcare Law 2017-2018, pinirmahan po ito 2019, nobody foresaw the pandemic coming. Wala na yung pong mga data, yung mga projections at that time, yung pong pagtaas ng yung pag-set ng premium contribution at that time were based on prevailing circumstances. At that time, maganda ho ang takbo ng ekonomiya natin ng Pilipinas, ng world economy. So all the data were based on those information during the prevailing period. So wala naman ho nakapredict ng pandemic, and we deemed it proper that kahit na 2025 na, marami pa rin hong nagre-recover pa rin. So we would want to give chance for everybody to be able to recover, especially our workers, na may adjust natin ng konti yung premium contributions. Na i-adjust lang, and then it will kumbaga babalik din naman yun sa yung increase niya slowly para hindi naman sila mabigatan.
Magkapareho ba yung naipasa sa House? O malaking difference?
Sa House ba ilang percent? Yung sa Senate kasi proposal namin una sa akin 4%, no? Kasi 5% na siya ngayon. Ibalik sa 4%, kaya lang during the deliberations on the floor, ang suggestion ng minority leader na minority gawin 3.25 na, isagad na. Dapat nga 3%. Sabi ko baka naman di na kayanin. Especially, kailangan we have to take into consideration also yung maraming concern kasi mga PMA, mga ibang mga doctors association, baka it might affect the sustainability of the program, no? Which we're only on the 5th year, entering the 5th year of implementation. Hindi pa ito fully implemented, no? It's a 10-year program. So baka ang concern nila, by adjusting baka maapektuhan. And also siguro nag-worry din ng marami dahil dun sa nangyaring yung subsidy that was used elsewhere, no? Na yung PhilHealth subsidy na 90 billion, 89 billion, that was used for other purposes. So baka yun yung naging concern. So all I can assure is that right now we will make sure na hindi na ho mangyayari yun, no? Whatever funds of PhilHealth should stay for PhilHealth para magamit po ng miyembro. We have to increase the benefit packages. We have to improve. I'm quite positive right now with the new PhilHealth head kay Dr. Mercado, na talagang yun ang sabi namin. Sabi ko, as the principal author and sponsor of Universal Healthcare Law, our aim is to lower the out-of-pocket expense of every Filipino. Sana naman, under his leadership, we will now be able to increase yung pong contribution, benefits, and also yung participation, no, ng PhilHealth. Napaka-importante kasi tinignan ko nga, nakakalungkot, no, na on the average, the past 3 years, 18% lang ang participation ng PhilHealth sa mga medical expenses for hospital bills. Meron pa nga 5%, 2%, no? Pag 100,000, ilan lang yung sinasagot ng PhilHealth. Sabi namin, paalala namin, you are not a private corporation, bakit nyo tinitipid? Pag public company, whatever, especially for services, dapat yan inuubos for the benefit of the members. So, right now, also, we are scheduled to have an oversight committee hearing on the implementation of the UAC kasi 5th year na, so halfway na. So, tingnan natin kung saan ba nagkulang, saan ba nagkamali, saan ba nagkulang, so that we can make the necessary adjustments.
So, sir, ina-assure nyo na bago mag-adjourn si NIJE, may mararatipay na BICAM report tungkol sa UHC amendment?
We are scheduled already on Monday. Tignan natin, hopefully magkasundo kami ng House version kasi maraming provisions sa kanila eh. Sa amin po, basically, is just adjusting the rate more para nga makarecover yung mga ating mga kababayan muna. So, ang maraming concern, yung Philippine Medical Association and other doctors organizations, medical practitioners, baka maapektuhan. We have to give the UAC a chance, no, na kumbaga hindi pa naman siya fully implemented. Kumbaga, it's a work in progress na siguro yung amendment could come later on.
So, ba't sumulat kayo kay Presidente regarding UHC proposed amendments?
Hopefully, since it's a priority measure na sumunod kami na sana masama doon sa LEDAC priority measures or certified. So, just in case, hopefully, makaabot. Mukha namang nasama naman. So, ito depends on Monday. But be rest assured that we will, again, just like sa wage issue, we need to strike a balance. No? Na we want to make sure that it will be sustainable But at the same time, ang target natin, more important, mas killing ako doon sa increasing ng benefits and participation. No, yung pong pag-ospital ang isang pasyente, no, halimbawa 100,000, dapat at least 30% ang sagot ng PhilHealth. Pwede 40, pwede 50%. Para naman maramdaman nila na uy, ang sarap ng pakiramdam doon na ay kahit papaano yung gobyerno through PhilHealth nandito para umalali. Pero kung halimbawa 500,000 tapos sasagutin ng PhilHealth 7,000, 8,000 tulad ng mga nakaraan. Parang di ba? Hindi mo masyadong ramdam. So, we are determined right now as the sponsored author of this UAC that we will make sure that PhilHealth will increase their case rates para po yung magiging basihan ng kanila pong magiging participation ng pag-set ng participation nila sa bawat medical expenses and hospital bills.
Okay. More related?
Wage hike lang po.
Wage hike.
Opo. Balikan ko lang po yung sa wage hike, Sen. How strongly is the Senate considering yung pag-adopt ng House version? Sa launch po ba siya na pag-usapan kagabi? How many senators are pushing for it?
Actually, late afternoon na siya lumabas, no? Yung news. So, yung iba wala na masyado eh. So, napag-usapan lang ng mga nandoon. Yung, sabi na, what if you adopt their version? Yung sa House, no? Wala pa naman, nothing concrete. Pero, siguro, doon tayo maglalaro. It's either 100 pesos or 200 pesos. Or, kung magkakabay-cam, then we can have a compromise, 150. But that I do not know yet. No? Pero, siguro, at least, siguro ang masisigurado natin, magkakaroon ng increase. No? Minimum 100 and probably at maximum of 200. Yun lang. Again, we would like to hear also, bago natin yan i-push, bago natin aprubahan, we have to make sure also that the businesses can afford and can survive, no, by giving 200 pesos daily wage increase for every workers.
Okay, Maki. Same issue.
Ay, sorry.
Sige, mamaya.
Yeah.
Anyway, sa doon sa pagpapaliban ng EDSA rehabilitation, sapat ba yung 1 month para i-assess ano yung mga dapat gawin para tapusin daw ng 6 months instead na 2 years yung EDSA rehabilitation? At open po ba ang government sa inyong suggestion na tapusin muna yung mga railway projects bago simulan yung EDSA rehab?
Well, I think I was the only one who spoke against it, no? Kasi unang-una, pinag-usapan ba ng yan? Was it just DPWH? Kasama ba ibang ahensya dyan? Nagkaroon ba ng economic impact assessment bago mag-decide na magkakaroon ng total rehabilitation ng EDSA? And that will sabi ko nga, hindi lang yan chaos, hindi lang yan magulo, super gulo yan. No? Right now, what we have right now, yung volume ng vehicles, talagang sobra-sobra na. Meron akong ano yan 1.8 million motorcycles, 1.5 million cars, 125,000 PUJs, 20,000 buses. Ito yung volume sa Metro Manila, no? And the main thoroughfare, of course, is EDSA. Ang isa pang worry ko dyan, yung vehicle sales sa binigay kong data noon, 300,000 every year. Ngayon po, 2024 to 2020, 500,000 pala ang bagong vehicle sales. No? So, anong ibig sabihin nun? In 3 years' time, we will have about 1 million vehicles added to our streets. And EDSA is not kahit anong rehabilitation ang gawin dyan, hindi naman yan lalapad. Di ba? Yun na yun eh. Ang gagawin ng rehabilitation, reblocking, ayusin yung pavement, ayusin ang sidewalks. So, ang problema natin is the volume of cars. So, kahit gaano kakinis pa yung EDSA na pwede mong higaan, sa ganda, halimbawa yung kanilang pagkakaayos, yung vehicle volume will still be the same. That's why, my suggestion is finish the ongoing railway projects, the North-South Commuter Railway, the Metro Manila Subway System, the MRT-7, and kung meron pang ibang maidadagdag. I have been talking about pushing for the railway system for the longest time na sabi ko sa House noon, naalala ko na pag nag-deliberate speech ako about the railways dahil hindi pa naman masyadong traffic, wala naman nakikinig sa akin nun eh. But I think this is the way to go. Sabi ko, railway is the only way because of our increasing population, our development, yung volume ay dadami na, hindi na talaga mababawasan. Ito po yung ginawa ng ating ASEAN neighbors, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and now Vietnam. They invested heavily in infrastructure in the 90s. Ngayon po, pag pumunta kayo sa mga bansang to, they are already reaping the fruits of their labor. Ang Vietnam, inuunahan na tayo. So, yung economic impact assessment, kaya ako nabanggit, ano po, ang problema natin, we're losing 3.2 billion a day because of traffic. No? And it will increase to 5.6 billion by 2035 kung wala tayong gawing high-impact projects for infrastructure. So, yun po yung a day yan, yung gasolinang nasusunog dahil sa traffic, yung oras ng bawat tao na naiipit sa traffic, and others. Second, foreign investments, dapat daw i-consider din. Kung titignan mo ang ASEAN ngayon, dati po nasa top 3 tayo, top 5 easily. Now, inunahan tayo ng Vietnam na. Di ba? Singapore, of course, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and now Vietnam, tapos pang-anim na tayo. One of the reasons is high cost of energy, labor cost, and weak infrastructure. So kung gagawin mo po yung EDSA ngayon, panahon na ito, talagang yung foreign investments na inaasam natin, na tinrabaho ng Pangulo, nung unang upo niya, talaga inikot niya, we are open for business. Wala nang pupunta sa atin.
Madi-discourage.
So we have to, ang pinaka-primary consideration is the economic impact because brought about the total rehabilitation.
So hindi yun ang sagot, sir?
Sabi ko nga, kahit gaano ka kainis, ganda gawin mong EDSA, ganun pa rin ang vehicle volume eh. Di ba? Hindi naman, ang aim natin, mabawasan yung vehicle volume. Paano mababawasan? Kailangan maging online na ang mga railway system. People should now use the mass transit. Pag maganda at maayos, di ba? Yan ang ginagawa sa Europe, sa Asian neighbors natin. Masyado tayo, we have become a car-centered society for so long. We need to look into mass transit because of our growing population. And I think it's not only convenience, that's why I'm pushing for the railway system, improvement of airports, infrastructure, because it will spread out the development. It will develop the countrysides, hindi lang Metro Manila, Cebu at Davao. Dapat yan, pag may railway, maitalat yan. And this will create growth development areas. We will create growth nodes, opportunities. Yan po ang magiging epekto nito. Opo, mahal po ang infrastructure, but yung pong opportunities and jobs and opportunities, doon lang natin maibibigay yan by creating new growth areas, especially in the provinces.
Sir, do you intend to inform the President and then yung mga concerned government official dyan sa iyong suggestion?
Well, I have given my piece already. Wala naman ako siguro kung may chance. Hindi naman kasi kami madalas nagkikita ngayon. But if I am given the chance, I will tell the President, I'm hoping that itong last 3 years, daming political noise, daming ganap ngayon, but doon ako na-frustrate kasi we have a lot of catching up to do. Ang dami nating problema, ang dami nating kailangan gawin para makahabol sa ating mga Asian neighbors, para maging attractive. And one is infrastructure, no? Na fast track natin dapat yung ongoing NSCR, Metro Manila Subway System, Mindanao Railway at yung South Long Haul papuntang Bicol na cancel pa or put on hold. Ang suggestion ko, sana itong i-prioritize, hanapan na magte-take over yung South Long Haul going to Bicol in Mindanao Railway System because this is this is how we will be able to create jobs and opportunities by laying down the tracks, laying down the infrastructure. So sana itong last 3 years, ang bilis ng panahon di ba? Noong una kasi, if you remember, nung panahon po ni Pangulong Duterte, yung pong build, I happened to defend the budget of the DOTR during that time. Kaya po nung nasil po yung NSCR and the Metro Manila Subway with Japan, lagi po ako nakasama doon and I was a witness. So, na-excite po ako kasi ito na yung Di ba? At least, mangyayari na. On the hindsight, 1998 pa, panahon President Erap, North Rail, South Rail. We lost already almost 30 years. Diba? So, na-excite ako doon. And then, pagpasok po ni President Bongbong Marcos, yung build, gagawin build better more, mas lalo ako na-excite. Mas dadamihan pa at magko-concentrate sa infra. Anong nangyari? Nabinbin itong yung South Long Haul and Mindanao Railway. Dapat po, ito, Mr. President, ako, kaibigan po. I want you to succeed because his success will be our success. Sana po, ito yung hanapan ng solusyon. Because pang long term po tayo. I'm looking at what will be good for the future. Hindi lang, maraming sabi, kailangan natin trabaho at hanap. I think ito po talaga ang investment natin for jobs and opportunities.
Sir, ano yung expectation mo under the leadership of Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon? Considering nakakausap mo siya, lahat dito mga frustration mo na nadidelay ng mga projects, may commitment na
well, I'm optimistic with Secretary Vince Dizon. Actually, nagmeet kami nung a few weeks before, after he assumed office. Kasi since ako po ang malamang na mag-redefend ng DOTR budget dahil medyo kabisado na rin natin yan, yun lang yung pakiusap ko sa kanya na sana yung po mga infrastructure projects na nakaput on hold, dapat i-pursue. And he agrees. And I think he's bagay na rin si Vince Dizon for the job kasi marami tayong habulin Sabi ko nga, kung lahat ng government official tulad niya na yung Hyper, Energizer Bunny nga, Totoy Bibo, lahat na. Pero yan ang kailangan natin And I'm in constant communication with him in the improvement of infrastructure. Hindi lang po yung railways, no? Even the improvement of the airports, seaports. Nag-uusap na kami kung ano yung kinakailangan. May mga ina-identify ako. Kasi advantage ko, layas ako di ba? Because of may passion for riding. Napupuntahan ko halos lahat. For example, yung mga airports, Limati airports for the eastern side of Mindanao, kasi malayo yan sa sa Davao, pero Davao Oriental, Compostela, Davao de Oro, Caraga region will benefit. Ang ganda rin ng lugar na yon, no? Maraming tourism areas and agricultural centers, but it's about 3-4 hours away from Davao City. So maganda ma-improve natin yung Mati Airport. Nilagyan natin ng funds yan last year. Daet Airport also, Naga Airport, para naman na siya, maging hindi na naka-cancel flight. So we are talking already on different infrastructure needs that we can fund to improve and help stimulate economic growth. Nag-usap na kami maaga, ano pa yung mga ports, airports, pero yung pakiusap ko talaga sana, yung po South Long Haul and Mindanao Railway, matuloy na. Actually, na-zero yan sa budget na nga for last year. Coming from the House, wala na zero budget. Nilagyan ng Senado yan ng at least 200 million each for the project management office to continue na at least magtuloy-tuloy yung monitoring, yung studies, yung monitoring ng right of ways, na kung may sakaling meron ng entity na mag-take over, ready na tayo, hindi yung mag-start right from scratch. So it was the Senate who added so that the project management office will continue for the South Long Haul and Mindanao Railway System.
Okay, before the issue on impeachment and Senate leadership, sir, sinabi ni Secretary Dizon during the confirmation hearing na hindi viable sa ngayon yung public transport modernization program. Although parang itutuloy siya, kaya lang dapat munang ma-address dahil ang dami pang problema. So,
well, yun naman, hindi natin kasi pwede talagang pilitin pag hindi handa. No? Just like NCAP, yung stand ko, I was one of those who, sabi ko, okay po yan, pabor po tayo dyan. That will instill discipline and improve yung enforcement, but the necessary infrastructure has to be there. Ito public PUV modernization, maganda po yan. No? It will make transport more modern, more reliable, more safe. Kaya lang kailangan din handa. Sa pagkakalam ko, may mga problema pa. Kasi yan yung yung consolidation ng lines, no? Parang dapat maayos ngayon. Kasi LTFRB for so many years, magulo. Issue na lang left and right ng franchises. But now we have to do it right. No? Na, halimbawa, andyan na yung mga railway. For example, railway na naman ako. Dapat yung mga feeder dyan, yung mga linya, yung mga linya ng buses, main buses, dapat naka-coordinate din doon. No? Naka-integrate. Tapos yung mga feeder line ng mga public jeepneys naman, naka-integrate din po doon. So, it's a general, dapat magkaroon talaga ng master plan for the routes as well, para maging mas maayos. Kaya lang kung hindi pa handa, huwag natin puwersahin. Kumbaga, slowly but surely siguro, dapat gano'n ang gawin natin. Dapat hindi naman, especially yung iba na marami tayong jeepney drivers, operators, buses na kailangan din, may alternatibo rin sa kanila na maibibigay na hanap kung sakasakali or dapat ma-integrate sila dito sa bagong PUV modernization.
pati daw yung supplier dapat mapalitan, sabi yata ng Malacanang.
Well, depende kung ano na lang, whatever supplier can give the best, yung pinaka-reliable, durable, at a reasonable price. Kasi medyo mahal din yung modern jeepney I think yun yung challenge nun. It's the financing side also. Parang almost 1.5 to 2 million. Medyo mataas din. So kung magkakaroon tayo ng magandang scheme, financing scheme for the PUV operators that they can afford, no? Na siguro naka-spread out para naman kayanin po nila.
Okay. Other issue, Maki. Oh, sige, go.
Individual members of the UP College of Law para issue a statement urging the Senate to start the impeachment trial forthwith. Reaction lang po.
Well, alam mo, whether I made a statement yesterday, whether I am for it or I am not for it, is irrelevant. It's the Senate is duty bound to convene the impeachment court according to our constitution. Kumbaga, ano namin yan? Responsibilidad po namin yan. Nagsalta na po ako dati, sabi ko po, nung hindi pa po na-forward, sabi ko that time, sabi ko, hindi naman ako pabor talaga sa, dahil we have to be realistic about it, that impeachment is politically charged. No? It's both legal and more political. Dalawa po yan. Lahat po ng impeachment process is really politically charged. And my worry at the time, alam niyo naman, I shared my frustrations na naiiwan na po tayo ng ASEAN neighbors natin, ang dami natin problema, no? Hindi lang transport, hindi lang to railway, hindi lang to airport, may energy pa tayo na dapat tignan, power plants that would need to be online, agriculture, at dami nating problemang kinakailangan na ayusin. And isa sa frustration ko, ang aga ng bangayan, no? Sa administrasyon na ito, 1.5 years, 2 years, nagsimula na ang bangayan. Nanghinayang ako doon sa momentum, no? With the biggest mandates ever, received by both the President and the Vice President, we were off to a good start. Ang ganda ng goodwill. Kaya lang napaaga yung bangayan na ito, humantong na nga po tayo sa magkakaroon na ng impeachment. Kaya po ako hindi pabor that time na sinabi ko kasi nga, ang dami nating pressing problems. Ang dami nating kailangan habulin. But in case, ito na, talaga namang itutuloy naman itong impeachment whether we like it or not. As I mentioned, we are duty bound. Sana matapos agad. So we can, whatever the decision is, whatever the verdict is, I hope we can go back to our normalcy as soon as possible. Mahaba-haba at marami-rami tayong habulin. Ang worry ko rito, yung, sabi ko nga, Vietnam is already, tawag nito is already leaving us, nakalamang na sila no, they're doing all the right things. Habang tayo nakastagnate. No? Meron akong figures nakalimutan ko lang pero talaga yung FDIs nila, we are getting just probably half or even less. So, ito po yung concern ko. Kaya, sana kung sakali man magkaroon ng impeachment, matapos ito sa lalo madali pa, no? How we can wrap up, no? As soon as possible para po we can go back and go back to our businesses and of course yung po mga pressing problems, challenges ay that we can already give attention to.
Okay, sige.
What's your Sen, opinion dun sa seemingly na nadidelay yung pag-convene ninyo?
Well, I'm not defending the leadership or the Senate, no? Unang-una, pinasa ng House of Representatives yan. Kailan ba nila pinasa yan? Last day. 5 o'clock. We adjourned at 7. Di ba? 5 talagang last minute din. They had all the time since December. Sana pinasa nila kagad so that we would have the time. So hindi lang, wag naman sana, not defending the Senate, but I'm just stating the facts na sana, kung pinasa nila mas maaga, baka mas maaga rin na simulan.
So sir, may mga nagsasabi na dahil dun sa patuloy na pagkakadelay ng pagsisimula ng impeachment process, dun sa impeachment case laban kay BP Sara, parang ang on trial ngayon, yung Senado, hindi na si BP Sara. Parang dahil di ba ang daming batikos, ang daming mga iba't ibang opinion,
well,
kayo nang nalilitis, kayo na...
Dahil na lang po natin, one thing is for sure, we are duty bound, as I mentioned, to go through it. No? So matutuloy yan. Hindi naman, I don't think there's an attempt to derail or to stop.
Pero sa consultation nyo sa inyong mga legal counsel, naniniwala ba sila na pwedeng tumalon, mag-crossover sa 20th Congress kapag nasimulan sa 19th?
Well, that would be a legal question. Di po ako abogado, but yan ang pagdidebatihan. Again, it might be that the 20th Congress already will be the one to decide whether to go through it or not. So, parang nandun na rin yun. Pwedeng, magsusumpa na kami ngayon, di ba? Bago siguro as impeachment court, but it will go through, magko-crossover na yan. So, it's still, again, the plenary will always be supreme. Kung ano pong maging desisyon ng Kongreso, ng 20th Congress, then that will be followed.